Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly Wednesday reading. My name is Carolyn Marie Yakopich. If you found my channel and it's your first time here, I help spiritual seekers and leaders find their full expression and tap into their intuitive wisdom and gifts so that they can shine their light in the world and help others see the potential of really truly creating heaven on earth. So every Wednesday I do a reading. I was off for a little while and I'm jumping back in now for 2 weeks here in a row. So we're getting going again. And what I'd like to do at the beginning of this reading is just call in the divine light to clear our channel. So to clear my channel as a reader, to clear the cards, to allow this space and the frequency to tap into every soul that joins us on this call so that there is something here for you to take away. And just remember that use your own inner guidance, be discerning. What is resonant is for you and what is not, you can leave, right? So we're going to just do a little clearing with some tuning forks for a moment. So allow yourself to center your energy. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a breath in and out through the mouth. Really relax your body. Continue to breathe and relax. And again, inhale and exhale. Bring yourself fully into your presence, into the here and now. And as we begin this reading, I ask for the theme of what we are entering into at this moment in time. What does the collective need to hear as far as the collective energy goes, what we are experiencing, and asking for that card to come through now. We have the blue ray being. Direct divine expression, bridge between dimensions. So I feel like there's a lot coming through with this card when it comes to being aware of being divinely supported in our lives, in our day-to-day lives, because it's so easy to forget that we are not alone. Right? So that is one important part, to hold that awareness and to notice those moments where we go unconscious, to come back into awareness of knowing that we are guided and supported. And the bridge between dimensions, I was actually just having a conversation with a friend last night about my experience with timelines lately. And it's been an ongoing, expansive process of experiencing timelines. But I feel like those of us that are being called to really step into a leadership position, those of us, and again, it doesn't have to be on a big stage or it doesn't have to look a particular way. When we say leadership, it can be such a loaded word. So if you can just think about leading by example, right? Being the embodiment of what you want to see in the world, and really being the embodiment of knowing who you are and remembering that you are a divine download, that you are a clear channel to express and create and to be connected in on a deeper level, to create this new earth paradigm that we are here creating the foundation for. So the bridge between dimensions, we are that, right? We are a catalyst for others to experience something beyond the five senses. We are a catalyst for, it could be a very simple conversation with a friend or with somebody that you meet. And there are so many people that I know have a spiritual calling, they're seeking more in life, and they don't have a support system. They don't have a friend they can talk to, or, it's like they're awakening on another level, but there's like not an understanding of what's actually happening because there isn't someone that they can actually share about these things with, right? So that is why each one of us, it is so important that we live in our truth and we really stand in that truth, right? Because a little conversation and an opening into that spiritual realm, into that, beyond the five senses realm, knowing that there's more than just this physical flesh, allows someone else to really open up and to really see the potential within themselves. So that is why we are really being called to be that bridge between dimensions, right? So if you think about it too, like, yes, I was talking about timelines. I didn't really finish there, but right now we are experiencing timelines so quickly. Like, there are so many potentials in the field, and there are potentials and there are also aspects of us that we are clearing. So there's the potential to go back into a previous version of who we are, and instead of like actually staying present and projecting forward from a clear space of wanting to create something different. And then there's the layers of the potentials, and it's like how present we can be and how aware we can be within ourselves is going to be a direct reflection of what we are able to call into our lives and create in our own lives. So it is really important to be in that aware state, in that present state. And because the timelines are moving so quickly and time itself is moving so quickly, we have an opportunity to really tap into our senses and our spiritual gifts, meaning our intuitive abilities, our capacity to see beyond the veil, right? To see into the truth. And when we're talking about these potential timelines, really using your clarity and taking time every day to tune in to what it is you want to create, who you want to be, how you want to show up through your thoughts, because the all is mind. Everything starts with a thought. Every single thing we experience in our life. It's the first Hermetic principle, universal law. Our thoughts are creation. And it does require, yes, our thoughts and an emotion that come together to put out that frequency, that vibration to create, right? So yes, we can say all day that our frequency is everything, but really our thought is so important, and where we are directing our thought. That's why there is so much out there when it comes to religion about keeping your eye on God, keeping your direction, your focus on God. And there is like a way of being, what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of like there is an empowered version of that, and there's a disempowered version of that. And I think this is the big point that we are now recognizing, that we are cut from the same cloth. We are divinity, right? So knowing that God is not separate from us, God is not separate from anything in the world. And when we can start to see God in all, it opens realms beyond our understanding. It opens potentials that we could not even create or imagine for ourselves. So bridging the dimensions is also really about staying in our heart space. So this card coming through, the blue ray beings, truly is about remembering, coming into the heart, coming into the heart, coming into the truth. And, we link in with the throat space, right? The blue energy is the throat chakra. It is our divine expression. It is choosing not our personal will, but our divine will, our will connected to God, which means that sometimes there will be sacrifice. letting go of things that are not serving our highest potential of who we're here to be, of how we are here to be. So really looking at this, moving from the heart and the higher heart and merging these energies, because when our heart is open, we open our field, we open our potentials. And when our heart is open, we are able to lend a helping hand. When our heart is open and when we hold that frequency, when we stay in unconditional love, joy, and bliss, we have entered that fifth dimensional frequency. And so a lot of us have had this experience, have had this, feeling within ourselves as an embodied state of being at some point in our life to know what it feels like to be there. And from this space of responsibility, because if we have attained this level of experience, and by level, I don't mean hierarchy, by level, I mean an embodiment, right? So if you have been in this state of being, of feeling love, of feeling bliss, of feeling joy in your life, there are those who are waiting for some guidance, waiting to see the light in the dark. And there will be those that are in the dark and consumed by the dark. And then there are those that are ready. They're just waiting. And they may be the quiet ones. They may be people we don't even expect to be open to spirituality. And I know spirituality is such a broad word, right? For me, it's really about bringing the sacred back into your everyday life. It's about being present, being aware, having ceremony, creating ritual in your day, and first and foremost, connecting to the greater power, God, Goddess, Source, Creator, Christ consciousness. We can say the universe, right? So there are many names for what we are speaking of, and it's what resonates for you. And just knowing that we are part of the great plan of this ascension as we're on the planet. And ascension sounds like, I'm going to just pop out of my body, fly into the ethers. But like ascension is really truly about remembering who we are. It is really about embodiment. And it's more about accessing those higher realms and anchoring them into the physical body. So being really grounded in who you are as that embodiment. So as we go back to the cards, we're going to ask for some guidance moving forward of how we can step greater into this aspect of ourselves where we are supporting others. I feel like there was some that wanted to pop up. These cards, there we go, just fell right out of my hands. But these cards are amazing. They're from Glastonbury, England. I love the art on them. Oh, I love that light language was on the bottom. I feel like that's very important. It's actually very important for me coming forward, and I'll share about that in a moment. But these cards all of the art was done by somebody in Glastonbury, and I believe it's a couple. I don't know if they're husband and wife, but they're a couple, and they created these cards together. But I absolutely love them, but they're very big, and there's 88 of them. So sometimes it's a little bit maneuvering with shuffling them and not having like 10 of them fall out at one time. So the card that came for, wow. Okay, so I'm going to go to the bottom of the deck because I was really called to show you the cards. And the card that actually came out and fell out was Cities of Light and Light Language. So focusing on the light, really focusing on the light. So that means that now our shadow is really prominent. There is that aspect where when we're up leveling, when we are stepping into another embodied, or sorry, not embodied, expanded version of who we are, right? It's like leaving behind another old version. It's like the grieving process happens and all of that. But before that actually happens, when we're in that liminal space between worlds, right? Between the old version and the new version, and we just kind of in between, going a little bit back, a little bit forward, there is this aspect where the ego starts to get louder. It starts to really come in, like with whatever the stories are that we have about ourselves that we've created, whatever limiting beliefs that we've created, they start to get a little bit louder. They start to try to come at us and get our attention. And sometimes, right now I'm in an 8-week integration from the Egypt pilgrimage that I had just led in Egypt in April. We're moving into the third chakra, so the solar plexus, the navel point. It's like this duality, this choice point before we enter into the heart space and ascend up and clear all those, lower energies that are binding us to our karma and to the old version of who we are before we step into our truth and our dharma. So there is this point where, I'm working on the group session for tomorrow. And there is this point where things come in, and this was coming in so clearly as I'm looking at the temple walls of this specific temple and how some of the images are the most beautiful images. And they're restored so beautifully, but they're inaccurate. They weren't actually drawn by the ancient Egyptians, carved by the ancient Egyptians, and there is inaccuracies in them. So it's like they look like the packaging is, oh my God, wow. But really, the truth is not in the package. So even in that way, when we are up leveling, sometimes our ego will present things to us that look like the next best thing, but it's really underneath that same thing from the past. An example would be, maybe you attract the same type of relationship over and over again. And then this next person that has come in may have some qualities that are really what you have asked for, what you are seeking, what you are wanting to connect with. It's like, okay, this is what I envision. This is him, or this is her, or, whoever's showing up. It's like you see that. But if you just pull back for a moment, and instead of getting, pulled in by what you're seeing on the outside, getting pulled in by the excitement and the, it's like that, the honeymoon phase, right? That beginning aspect of what happens in relationships. If you can really pause and step back and center yourself in your own energy, because if you are somebody who plugs into others and it's like really getting lit up and almost lifted out of your own groundedness in relationship, it's very easy to get basically flying away into another relationship that actually is underneath what you're seeing, the same version of the old relationship that you were in. There may just be some aspects that are covering that up, right? So it's like really being mindful of the shadow, being mindful of the limiting beliefs, the emotions that anchor you to the past, that are perpetuating the old story. So again, it's about radical responsibility. It's really about shifting your energy, changing gears. And what future do you want to focus on? What future do you want to create? We have the power. We do. We truly do. And that third chakra is the power center. We can either plug outside of ourselves, or we can plug back into ourselves and connect up with God and anchor that in. Connect with the universal principles and all that's available to us in the quantum field, and anchor that in and see our future as we want it. Feel the gratitude for it already before it's happened. Feel the gratitude for what we have in our life already. And from that space, our heart opens a little more. And when our heart opens a little more, our magnetic field expands, our aura expands, and then we become more magnetic to attract the things that we are open to, that are in our highest and greatest good, a lot quicker. So these two cards, they both say light, and I just talked a lot about the shadow and the dark. So the first one, Cities of Light. Now here I can see it is Mount Shasta. You can see the UFO here, that energy that we see often in Mount Shasta hovering above. And within Mount Shasta, there is Telos. We have a civilization of enlightened beings, multidimensional energy. And that came through a bridge between dimensions, right? So being aware that we are not the only ones here on Earth, there are many beings walking amongst us at all times. And we have a potential to tap in to these higher dimensions and to connect in with them. So here it does say Telos, Inner Earth, Etheric Retreats, Family of Light. So you can travel to these locations interdimensionally when you meditate. You can hold that intention before you meditate and allow your vehicle of light, right? Your Ka body, which is the spiritual double of your physical body. You can send your body to different places to do this work. You don't have to know everything that's happening or see it necessarily. You can be in stillness and just ask to be received by these places, wherever they are that you're called. Maybe Mount Shasta is one, maybe Egypt is one, maybe Glastonbury, Avalon, is one. It really just depends where you are being called, but know that you can do this work from your home. You can do it. So it's all about your intention, and what I was saying before about having ritual, having ceremony, and really being present with what it is you are doing. Again, intention is so big for this. If we wake up without an intention for our day and we just go about our day, it's so easy to just get pulled by the current of life. But waking up and coming into meditation, coming into presence and stillness, and really calling forward an intention and creating an emotion in your body that matches that intention, and then moving forward from that space, and then reminding yourself throughout the day when you go unconscious and you forget about your connection to that intention, you come back. You come back, take a couple of breaths, remember your intention, and move forward. Right? It's very important right now that we are very conscious of our creations, especially because how quickly things are moving in the world. Because like I said, we could get swept away and time will just right by. So the other card, light language, at the bottom of the deck. So the lotus is open. There is light emerging out of the lotus. The lotus represents rebirth, enlightenment. And when we start to either tone or chant or speak light language, which is really truly a language of the stars, a language of the soul, a language of other dimensions. And it's really about clearing our vessel, clearing ourselves, and just opening to whatever is coming out and trusting the heart, really being in our hearts. So being in our hearts it's just paramount. It's so important. It really, really is. And when we're open in our heart space, and when we're open in our crown and we're anchored in our body, we become this vessel to allow the codes to come through. So a lot of us that are channeling light language, that are, maybe you have a practice for yourself. Maybe you've been wanting to use more light language for yourself with your clients, with others, whatever that looks like for you, it's really coming through that the time is now. I was going to post before coming on to do this video, I was going to post a video that I made while I was in Egypt and I was doing light language. I had started talking about the temple, we were in the root chakra, and then there was a transmission that came through as I was talking. And I don't always know that light language is going to come, and then it comes. And I paused and I at first thought, okay, I am going to post this. But then I all of a sudden thought about certain platforms and I'm like, well, maybe I won't post it there because I did have the thought, what if people judge me? And I'm not really someone who cares what people think. It's taken me a long time to get to that point where I am comfortable in my own skin. I show up. I don't get attached to that. But the light language, there was like a barrier. And I love light language. Like I love it so much, but there was a barrier that was coming through. And this has to do with the bridge between dimensions and tapping into like multiple timelines. So for me, I was moving through a past life memory of being persecuted for my gifts. So I've worked through many of these lifetimes in this current lifetime. I remember, at least 25 years ago, at least, I'm like trying to think about my age right now, but many, many years ago, okay, so I would say even almost 30 years ago, I had my first vision of being hung, of myself being hung. And then, then I had more and more, and things would show up and certain timelines and time frames of, being a healer or also being the persecutor, because we're not always the victim. We've lived many lifetimes. And so sometimes there's clearing to do around being the one that is, pulling the strings and making the judgments, right? And doing the persecuting. So just knowing that was coming up for me, I just find it really interesting because it was around light language. And there's many people right now that do light language openly on the internet, on their socials. And for me, it's like, it was just something that I was required to go through. And like I said, the shadow is coming up so strong, whether it is from this lifetime or from previous lifetimes, which it's all the same. It's all merging into one, past, present, and future. When we come into the present, the future and the present, it's like, right? It's like an empty page, and we can start creating on that empty page when we are in the present moment. So trusting is big. Trusting yourself, allowing yourself, honoring. Like I honored that in that moment, it wasn't comfortable for me to post that video. I've posted light language before, but in this specific moment today, that was coming up for me to be witnessed, to be acknowledged, not for me to go back into the story and then, okay, I'm not going to post. I'm not going to do it now. It's like, what is the next step for me to move through that, to resolve that, to forgive, right? To forgive something from our consciousness is to give it forth. Something that is, blocking our full expression. So it is really required that we take that responsibility each time we bump up against something that is bringing us into a state of resistance of sharing our gifts. And sometimes it is self-judgment. Sometimes it's our own mind that is getting in the way. So being really clearly cognizant and aware of, where is this coming from? Is this a story I'm telling myself, or am I feeling something in my body that doesn't actually feel like it's from this lifetime? And I work with others around this as well to start to gain clarity of timelines, of dimensions, of what we're seeing. and how to work through things and how to move beyond them so that we can really put ourselves out there in our full expression. So the card, I just wanted to read whatever else it says here. It says universal language of oneness. And I think this is the one thing I love about light language is that just like speaking English, there is a frequency and a vibration to the sound. Just like listening to music, there is a frequency and a vibration and a sound in the sound. And sometimes I listen to people's light language and it doesn't resonate, and I move on. And sometimes I listen to someone and I feel like I'm fully being activated, and I can feel in my body where I'm being activated. I can, it's like, it's such, it's like it ignites something within me. And so knowing that, again, just like speaking in whatever your first language is, it's either going to resonate or it's not going to resonate. And it's okay, because not everything is meant to resonate with us. So I feel like light language, for whoever this is coming through for, of course, it's partly coming through for me, but that makes sense because as within, so without. So whoever this is for, there is an element of the light language that is going to help you to connect with your soul family, your soul tribe, who is meant to be coming into your life at this time. Like, you may have some that are already with you, but there are more. So if you are out in the public and you do share yourself, maybe light language is something that's been wanting to come through for you to be shared. Maybe light language, like I said before, is for your own personal development, growth. You can use it for clearing. You can use it for activating. You can use it for embodiment, right? There are so many ways you can use light language, energy healing, energy clearing. So emotional balance and stability and harmony. If you're in an emotion, you can use light language to clear it. If you've had a situation with somebody in your life, or even if you've just been exposed to something that doesn't feel in alignment with your own intention, right? You can move into light language and do some clearing. And light language doesn't always have to be the voice. It can be it can be movement. It can be dance. It can be drawing. You can see on this image the light language that is drawn here, right? So it can come through in codes. And I just saw an orb move by. So this is for whoever is here that is feeling that call to light language, to lean in towards it, to trust that inner, nudge that is coming through. So it says universal language of oneness, of love, and listen with your heart. And I feel like that is the major theme right now, is to keep coming back to your heart. So with that being said, I invite you to take a deep breath in. Exhale through your mouth. Anchor, relax, and root into your body. Now inhale, breathe into your heart space in all directions. Exhale, send the energy out through your body, out into your field in all directions. One more inhale, expand into your heart. Send the energy in all directions through your body. Exhale the energy out beyond your skin into your auric field, creating a beautiful sphere of light around you. Shiana koi aranate, durasanta kaya nanai o anai, iana shokaya nanai, iaranayara, usantaya karyanai, ianate anai. Shuana kai aranai, eana, E anahe. U anate yanate. Shoo. Thank you so much for being with me this week on the reading. And remember to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I will be back again very soon. I also want to just announce that I am feeling called that on Mondays I will be offering a meditation every Monday. So watch out for that video this coming Monday. There will be a meditation each week and a reading on Wednesdays. Thank you again for being here, soul family, and I will see you very soon.